Another body has been found in the Houston Bayou. And for people who listened to our previous episode, you already know why that sentence is making people uneasy.
I mean, because this isn't just one disturbing headline anymore. It's repeated.
Yes. On April 30th, 2026, a man's body was found near Buffalo Bayou. Less than a week later, another body was recovered near Brays Bayou, close to McGregor Park in the University of Houston.
Yeah, and once again, social media exploded with the same question. How many bodies is too many before people stop calling it a coincidence? Welcome back to Coffee and Crime with Mom. I'm Zalle.
And I'm Nicholle, Mom. Tonight's episode is a follow up to our previous Houston Bayou episode because new developments have happened and people are paying attention.
Especially people here in Texas, because every time another body is found, fear ramps up all over again.
And if you missed our first episode, here's the short version. Over the last several years, dozens of bodies have been recovered from Houston area bayous and waterways. Officials have repeatedly stated they do not believe there is evidence of a serial killer, but many residents remain unconvinced because the recoveries keep happening.
I mean, and all the locations themselves make the story feel like especially unsettling. Bayous,
hmm
parks, drainage channels, wooded shoreline areas, places people walk past every day. It's kind of giving called the killing fields. The
Yeah,
call the
it
road,
seems
call
like
the road.
someone
Yeah.
has found their dumping spot.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's start with the April 30th discovery. According to local reports, a man's body was found along the shore of Buffalo Bayou near Buffalo Bend Nature Park, close to Highway 90 in Clinton Drive. The body was reportedly discovered by a cleanup.
Okay. Houston police homicide detectives responded to the scene, and news outlets reported this was at least the fifth body found in the Houston area bayou since January of 2026, you guys.
Wow,
2025, okay? In April.
that is crazy. That statistic alone is what reignited public concern online because once numbers start stacking up, people begin looking for patterns. Then came another discovery just days later. On May 6th, Houston police and dive teams responded to Brays Bayou near McGregor Park in southeast Houston. A woman's body had been discovered near the water close to the University of Houston area.
My goodness. All right. And there was immediate confusion online because some people mistakenly believed a reporter's name that was mentioned in articles was the victim's identity. And yeah, I could
That's
see
crazy.
how that could be a
It
thing.
could be an issue.
Yeah.
But at the time of reporting, authorities had not publicly confirmed identification details or cause of death. Police stated the case remained under investigation.
Right. Okay. And so here's where this case gets even more complicated, right? Because 5 days before that, May 6th discovery, which obviously was May 1st, just one day before the other Buffalo
One
Bayou
day after.
discovery. Oh, sorry. Just
One,
one day after the Buffalo Bayou discovery, there was a witness account that may or may not be connected to that woman, the new body that they found.
mhm. Right. So, according to KHOU.com, a woman was reportedly seen struggling in the rushing water of Brays Bayou after a heavy rain. Rescue crews were called out, but they were unable to locate her.
Yeah, and as of like this recent update, police have not confirmed whether the May 6th victim was the same person that was seen struggling on the first. They have not confirmed her identity.
So, what we're left with is a possible timeline, but no official link. A woman spotted in distress in the same bayou system. 5 days later, a body recovered from that same general area, but authorities have not drawn a connection.
And this is what is like insane to me because they keep saying, oh, there's no connection, there's no this. How the hell? How are all? And this is just like, if y'all go back and listen to the first episode we
Mhm.
did about the bayou, there
Right.
have been so many bodies in
So
the
many.
last couple of years, and it's not a serial killer, it's not this and that, and the way that it is almost the same as, like, the killing field stories, maybe
Yeah.
because it feels like it is so much that they don't have, like, definite information for, so that's
Mhm.
why they're not putting out that, like, title. Not I don't necessarily feel that maybe they don't believe that. I feel like they don't have the
So
actual
that's what I
proof.
was gonna say, is that my hope is that that's what they're saying out loud
Yeah,
to kinda keep people from going into a total panic,
right.
although, I mean, I don't need you to tell me there's a serial
Serial
killer when I
for
see
me
the
to
number.
see that it's a
But
whole bunch
my
of
hope
people.
is that even though that's what they're saying, that they're at least looking into that idea, looking for the connections instead of
Right.
just continuing to say that there is no connection. Because even if the lady they saw struggling in the water
Mhm.
is the same body, it still could be somebody put her in the bayou.
Right, because that is literally what I was just about to say. Okay, so what how did she even get in the water? Because all
Mhm.
I keep seeing is she was seen struggling during the storm
Mhm.
or, like,
And
after the
see, I was
storm because of the
watching one
water.
news clip. Yeah, and they were talking about how dangerous the bayous are because once you get down at the bottom, it's just like slick
Sleep,
concrete on
yeah.
both sides. So I guess they were trying to say that I don't know what they were trying to say because even if it was flooding in the bayou, there's still you gotta go down even to get to that
Part.
concrete part. So how would you accidentally end up in the bayou because of the rain?
Yeah, like,
Why would you be right on the edge of that little crest
the
in
crap
a
yeah.
pouring down rainstorm?
Mhm. Yeah, that
You know what
doesn't
I'm
make
saying?
any
Like, it
sense.
just that doesn't prove anything, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does not make sense. And I mean, for
So
those in Houston who know what the bayous look like, really, who just
mhm,
goes to hang out in the bayous right next to the water is what I'm saying.
in a
I know
storm.
there is in a storm, but just period, because they're saying in a lot of cases people just, oh, they just fell in and it was just this. But who is just
Right.
hanging out
It's
right
not
there
that
next
easy
to
to
the
fall
water?
into a bayou.
Even in the med center where they have, like, the bayou that runs through it, it's like the bayou's down here, and then it's kinda like a hill type, and then that's where it's like a
Yeah.
sidewalks and all the paths and stuff,
Mhm.
like, it's a
Yeah.
ways, you kinda it's not right there. So, like,
Right.
why were you down there? You know what I'm saying?
But who this is a lot of people to fall into the bayous.
Right.
I don't know how long you can keep saying it was an accident and they fell into the bayou
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that is just not it's not that simple.
Right, and where's the
So
proof if you're not willing
so
to
we wanna
even claim
be
that?
mhm. So we wanna be really clear about what remains unanswered here. The exact circumstances of her death are not known.
Yeah, and whether she was alone, like we were saying, or with others at the time she entered the water, that also hasn't been confirmed. So we really don't would know nothing.
We don't know. And any possible connection to that May 1st sighting of a woman struggling in Brays Bayou remains unverified.
And so it seems like at this time we have the witness account of who said that they saw the woman struggling in the
Mhm.
water. And then we
Right.
have the body recovered 5 days later in the same
Mhm.
waterway, like same general
Right.
area. But we don't have anything that is like anything to officially confirm that these two events are related. Though
Right.
it does it seems like it's very well possible that it is this woman, but it
Mhm.
also could be somebody else with everything
It
that's
could
been
be.
going on in the bayous. And that the fact that it's not, oh, it's just that woman, and we are even thinking of the fact that it could be somebody
Right.
else because so many people have been coming up in
Becau
the
that's how
bayou
many
is
bodies have
insane.
been found.
Yeah.
Mhm. And that uncertainty is what keeps the conversation going.
Yeah, that's why we're
One
doing
thing
this
we wanted
update.
yeah, one thing we wanted to include in this update episode is what officials themselves are actually saying. Because online rumors are moving way faster than confirmed facts.
As always, I mean, because it's the
Right.
internet, right? But
Right.
Houston officials have reportedly stated that they do not currently see evidence connecting the two cases.
Right. Back during the major public panic surrounding Bayou recoveries in 2025, Harris County District Attorney Sean Tier publicly addressed serial killer rumors directly. And this quote became a major headline. He said, "There is nothing, nothing. And I want to be crystal clear to indicate that there is someone operating here as a serial killer."
Yeah. Okay. So there is. there is someone operating. I wanna be crystal
There's
clear to end.
nothing, and I want to be crystal clear to indicate that there is someone operating here as
So, it
I
should
just
be there is nothing, and, like, I wanna be crystal clear that there's nothing to indicate that there is someone operating here as a serial killer, because that's what he
yeah,
said.
there is.
They missed the
Okay.
nothing after the clear.
Alright, so he said, "There is nothing, and I want to be crystal clear to indicate that there is nothing indicating someone is operating here as a serial killer."
Do it again. Do it again. You gotta say
He
nothing
said
after the clear. Nothing to indicate there is someone operating here as a serial killer.
"There is nothing. I want to be clear, nothing to indicate that there is someone operating here as a serial killer."
And that blew up when he said that. Like people just, I mean, the people of
Mhm.
Houston just went crazy because, like we were saying, there's so many bodies. And right now,
So
you're just
many.
giving the same excuse over and over again. It's no way
Mhm.
that there are all these bodies being found. And some of them look how close that they are. And you're
Right.
saying that it's not a serial killer. All of these happen to be accidents. Like that just,
And that doesn't calm people's fears.
no.
When bodies keep coming up, now it's like, "This keeps happening, this is what it looks like to my eyes, but
Right.
you're trying to tell me that it's not what I see,
Right. And
and now
I,
I don't trust you to protect me and the
right.
people here."
Right, and I feel like the indicate nothing to indicate is what I was saying earlier. They don't have proof. It's nothing that
Mhm.
like actually shows it's a killer. And so I feel
Right.
like the police leadership has also pointed toward other possibilities, including accidental drownings, right?
Mhm.
Overdoses, suicides, flooding events, and deaths involving vulnerable populations living near waterways. One person said that who was it? I think it was the mayor, or I can't remember who it was who said it, but they were saying that homeless, like when something happens and one of them died, they just go and throw the bodies of the homeless people
That's
into
what
the
I was about to
bayou.
say. What does
Yeah,
that mean,
what?
deaths involving vulnerable something
So
has
like
to
the
happen to
homeless,
that
yeah,
vulnerable
mhm,
population for them to end up dead in a bayou.
in
The
the
fact that
bayou.
the fact that they are vulnerable
Hmm.
does not equal that
Yeah,
they're dead in the bayou. There's a thing that
yeah,
happens to them.
yeah, and them just
So
kind of
that doesn't
blowing
even
that
make
off.
sense.
Yeah, that is so
What you're
crazy.
saying is they're homeless and things just happen to them and we don't concern ourselves with
I mean,
that. That's what it sounds like to me.
even the overdoses, what are you saying?
Right.
Oh, how is overdoses connected to people being
And
found
who's
in the
going to the
bayou? Like,
bayou
what are
to
you
who is
saying?
doing drugs on the rim of the bayou?
I don't understand. I don't understand that.
I mean,
What?
I don't hang out at the bayou, but that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't
If
get.
I'm doing drugs, why am I gonna be in the most dangerous place for me to do the drugs?
And there, so, for so many of this, like these cases are like, what's going on. The information is that they don't really know, or it's unconfirmed, or this is what we believe. But like, where's
Right.
the evidence to prove that it is like whatever? Even if somebody did overdose and their body was found in the bayou, that doesn't mean that that is the reason why they ended up in the bayou. Like that doesn't make sense.
Right. How did they get from where they were doing drugs and overdosed into the bayou?
Into the bayou, yeah,
That's the question. You're just saying words at us.
yeah. You're just
That's
trying to like what is it, blanket us and try to like, oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because
Like
you
you're
don't
fast
have
talking us.
nothing to actually like prove it one
Mhm.
way or the other.
Right. You're fast talking us. When we
Yeah,
stop and really break down what you're saying, you're not saying anything.
yeah,
Is where I'm getting.
mm-hmm.
But we do have to be fair. Houston's bayou system is enormous.
Yes,
It's
it is.
thousands of miles of waterways that run through the entire city.
Yes, yes, and like I was saying, it even goes through like the downtown like med center. So I mean, it's right there, right? But here's the thing, though, because a lot of people in Houston are starting to question like the official responses because they're like we're saying, you're really not
Right.
saying nothing. It's not making sense to the people.
Right. And from the public's perspective, the pattern feels difficult to ignore. Bodies continue being recovered from similar environments: bayous, shorelines, parks, drainage areas. And every new discovery reignites the same question all over again.
Right. Officials continue insisting that there is no evidence, strong
Right.
on the no evidence of a serial killer, right? And so
Hmm.
that I can get that, but for many residents, repeated discoveries in similar locations along the bayou are becoming harder to dismiss as like, oh, it's just a coincidence or it's an accident or whatever BS that you're feeding us at the moment, even though you don't have the evidence.
Right, and to be clear, we're saying these things seem connected. That's not what the police are saying.
Right,
They're
right,
not saying that things
at
are
all.
that any of these cases are connected. They're in fact, it seems that they're investigating them individually and coming up with nothing.
Coming up with nothing. Who did it and why, we don't know. And it's I hate to keep saying it, but it is giving the killing fields. Why are so and
Right,
it's so frustrating because we don't understand the why and we can feel it in our bones like it's BS, and then
right.
like we even had there was a one of the bodies that were found. His name was Kenneth, and his cousin started a Facebook page, and they followed us, and they post like updates about like what's happening in the
Mhm,
cases or whatever, and how
right.
the like new cases differentiate from how Kenneth's case was handled. I believe that's his name,
Mhm,
please. I believe that's his name.
yes,
Um, but how the new cases are handled, and for it to be like, okay, sometimes homicide shows up, sometimes homicide doesn't show up. But isn't it supposed to be the case if we don't know what's happening, the homicide should automatically come? Like I think that
right.
that's supposed to be a rule, right? So why are there like all these differences in how you're even handling the
They're
cases?
discoveries, right,
Right.
from the beginning when you find them.
Yeah. And so I mean,
And
especially
so, basically, we're just saying the growing number of recoveries has created increasing public distrust of the official explanation. I understand that.
yeah,
Because it doesn't make sense. I understand that you don't have the evidence to connect them,
right.
but we can't be so stringent minded to the point where we're not looking at all the possibilities to find out if this is a serial killer, we need to find them.
Mhm.
As the longer that you don't even attempt to do that, that's why I say I hope that that's what's happening behind
Yeah.
the scenes, and this is what they're telling us.
And I think it's frustrating because it is like the people feel how we feel. Like, okay, even
Mhm.
if you don't have evidence, that's cool. But don't just
Right.
dismiss it like that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? I know you
Mhm.
can't
Right.
just I can't confirm nor deny we don't have the evidence to prove it one way or the other. But
Right.
there are bodies showing up so that way people can properly, I mean, I'm not saying for them to just like barricade themselves in, but be on alert.
No, but
People
you
run
can be
those paths on the bayous
people
like
at night.
at
People
night.
walk those
They
paths,
walk
run
them
those paths, especially like you were saying in the medical center.
in the med
A
center,
lot of
yeah,
people get around down there on
by
foot with these
walking.
paths and
Yes,
bikes.
yes, and so let people, like, be able to prepare themselves, and I feel like it's
Mhm,
especially gonna be difficult online, I mean, because it go travel news travels super fast and people are starting to ask, are the investigators comparing all of the cases closely enough? Like we were just saying,
mhm,
are there demographic similarities between victims? Could some deaths had been misclassified? And it's easy that all of that could, if they are simply doing everything individually, and because the bayou is so like long, you know what I'm saying,
right,
I'm sure it's different parts of Houston, like different parts of the PD,
right,
it's not just one, like, you know what I'm saying? One county or
right.
whatever. And so that I would not, I would probably like bet my foot on it that they're not sharing like the information between what's happening with all of these bodies being found.
Well, not if that's how they're investigating them. Why would they? If they're investigating them like individual cases,
Right.
why am I reaching out to anybody? I'm not trying to connect anything.
But I
I
think
have a
that's so
dead body
crazy.
and I'm figuring this out.
If it's so
It
many
doesn't make
bodies
sense.
found along the same area, like why not try? Why not
Mhm.
try? Because you never know,
Yeah.
especially if you already don't
But
have any answers. What do you have to lose?
that's right. And another major question people keep bringing up is, could waterways themselves be intentionally used because they complicate forensic investigations? Because
Yes.
water destroys evidence, it changes timelines, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it makes determining cause of death incredibly difficult, which we see a lot
A
in this
lot.
case. There are so many undetermined
Because
deaths
of the
in this
water.
case.
Yep, yep. Which means if someone were intentionally using waterways, proving connections could become much harder. And I mean, just think about all of our lovely favorite shows and all the times that water comes in and how much damage it just does to the body. Even it doesn't even have to be there for it like super long periods of time. Water really like messes with the evidence and like fucks up what you got going on. So that's genius
especially
as
in the
far as like
waters.
serial killer.
Yeah, especially in the waters of the Houston Bayou, and I
And
don't
then we
know
have
why.
gators.
Yeah, and I don't know why no one has thought about the fact or not said out loud that the connection itself is the bayou.
Is the bayou.
The way that we learn how these people's minds work and different killers have they they do different things. They have their own
Right.
ticks. It
Right.
could
It
be
could
that
just
is
be
the
that.
connection. How
And
he kills them is not
doesn't
a
matter.
part of his
It's
thing.
where he's
He doesn't
dumping
care.
it. Yeah.
It's the bayou. Now,
And then
again,
he's
I'm
super
not an
smart.
investigator and I'm not a psychologist, but
He's
that just
so
makes sense
smart.
to me.
And I hate to say that, but if it is a serial killer or serial
Deviously smart.
killers, because it's been a while, like bodies have been
Yeah.
popping up for a long time.
I mean, it
If
could
that is
be
the case, that's
a duo.
genius. Yeah, because our bayous, like we said, first of all, where they're situated, yes, it isn't where people are at, and they tend to be discovered. But we also have like big ass gators and stuff that live in
Mhm.
our bayous. Okay,
Yeah,
so I mean, if you're, who knows how many bodies weren't discovered because the gators got to them?
right.
You know,
And that's
so
another reason why who's going to the bayou to do drugs?
b-
They're gators. It's
that
not
if
just the
you're
water,
from
not the
Houston, if
possibility of
you
you
are
falling
from
into.
Houston, yes, if you're from
That's
Houston,
what
you
I'm saying. You
know
are going to the most dangerous place to get high. Like who does that? I would imagine that you want to be in the safest place that you can be
all
when
the
you are going to
perks and
be
stuff that we
not
have
in your
around
whole
here.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, this is speculation, not confirmed fact, but it's one reason public suspicion has continued growing despite official statements. One thing we talked about in our original episode was how difficult water investigations really are. And
Hmm.
honestly, I think people underestimate that.
I mean, like we were saying, water changes evidence fast. It does not take a whole bunch of time.
Yeah, extremely fast, and bodies drift in the
Mhm.
water. Injuries can become difficult to interpret. Is this the injury from whatever happened to
Before
them,
or
or is
from
it
them
just the
being in the
injury
water.
from them being in the water?
Mhm.
Toxicology may be complicated, and sometimes investigators can't determine exactly what happened before the body entered the water.
Yeah, which I'm sure that makes all of these cases like extremely hard, and why some of the cases eventually become classified as undetermined. Because what can you do once the water has gotten to the body and it's
Once
been
there's no
ruined?
evidence, it's
You
either there
can't
or it's not.
undo the damage that the water
Right.
has done. That can get rid of like fingerprints and everything depending on how the body
DNA,
sucks up the water.
right. All kinds of things. And unfortunately, undetermined often leaves the public feeling like there are unanswered questions, which they
There
are if
are.
it's
Yeah, if it's
undetermined. That is the
undetermined.
question.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
Excuse
I
me.
also think there's something psychological happening here, like with the public's reaction.
Yeah, definitely. Water already creates fear for many people because it
Mhm.
hides things. And bayous especially can feel eerie. Isolated trails, heavy trees, dark water, low visibility.
Right, and then, I mean, add the repeated headlines about bodies being discovered and, like, imagine what that's like for the people who actively use these
Use
trails
those
and
areas. Yeah.
yeah, and I know
And
it's
yeah.
people, especially, like, in the med center, they be out there with their kids walking, the zoo is down
Yeah.
there not far from where the bayou is and stuff, like,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And when that happens, then suddenly every new case feels connected, whether it actually is or not. I will
Yeah,
admit that.
yeah.
That's part of the psychology. Mhm.
Doop boop,
That's part of
boom,
what psychologists call pattern seeking behavior. Humans naturally try to organize frightening events into explanations.
Yeah, because we can't
Uh,
process what we don't understand.
That's how our brain knows how to break it down. So, as of this recording, the newest Houston Bayou deaths remain under investigation. The May 6 victim's exact cause of death has not been released. Whether she was alone or with others remains unknown. And any connection to the May 1st sighting of a woman struggling in Brays Bayou has not been confirmed.
Okay. Yeah, so officials continue maintaining that they don't believe that there's evidence of a serial killer operating in Houston, maybe just out of like trying to keep the people at
Everybody
bay.
calm.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, with repeated discoveries continuing 5 since January of this year,
That is
right?
crazy.
And this is headline news. So, many people live around these bayous. So, obviously, the residents are going to remain like unconvinced because that doesn't make
And
any sense.
everybody should be concerned because that's just where the bodies are being found. Like they just said, they don't know where that
They
person was
know
before they got in that bayou.
nothing. They
So
don't
the
know
fact that that's
anything.
where they're found does not mean that's where they're coming from. So
Right.
everybody is on pins and needles.
And then you don't know
And
if they're like doing these crimes because the bayous run so long. If they're doing these on one area of Houston, and then just dump it, found a good spot of the bayou that they know the current's going to carry it, and dumping them, and then the bodies are
so
just found wherever they go.
that's the thing with serial killers. There was the one serial killer who he would plan out where he was going to kill people, not who he was going to kill, but what city and state he wanted to kill in. And then he would take his kill kit to that city roundabout. He would fly to one city, drive here, get off, get on a bus, bury it there. And then years later, when he would be back in that city, he would go to his kill kit. It didn't matter who he was killing. So it's like we don't know how each other's minds work anyway,
Right.
but especially when the brain is already not functioning at its highest speed or its optimal
That is insane.
operating
Okay.
system
So
going on.
let's
You know
pause.
what I'm
Let's
saying?
pause because that is evil geniusery. Okay,
Right.
but that is
We're
so
gonna do
insane.
him. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
go
him, but
ahead and
that's
let's
right.
just go ahead and put this kill kit here, and then whenever
Right.
I might maybe come back in town, I don't even have to worry about assembling one. I got it here. I
Yeah.
could just go get it out of the bushes,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
or
It wasn't about who he killed. I
yeah.
think he traveled for work or something, but he would be in the city and be like, "I would like to kill somebody here." And then he would bury a kill kit somewhere and go back and
My
get it next
God.
time he was there. So who he was killing was irrelevant. He did not care. Men, women, didn't matter. So that's what I'm saying. We can't say that because it's in different areas of the bayou or you can't determine what it is that means it's not a serial killer.
Right, because
And
they
to be
operate
honest,
differently. Hmm.
right. And to be honest, people are gonna keep asking questions as long as bodies keep being found.
Right, especially in similar environments when like answers are taking time, and especially in a city where water runs through nearly everything, like it's water everywhere. If you haven't listened to our original Houston Bayou episode yet, definitely go back and listen to that one after this update or before, if you
Yeah, yeah,
decide you catch on to what we're listening to and realize it's another one, however your preference.
whatever floats your boat.
Mhm.
And please let us know your thoughts, Crime Fam. Do you think these are unrelated tragedies, or do you think there's something more happening beneath the surface?
Yes, please. And you can find us on socials at Coffee and Crime with Mom. And you can also email us your thoughts too at Coffee and Crime with Mom at Outlook or Coffee and Crime with Mom at Gmail.
Thank you guys so much for spending this time with us, and stay curious
Stay aware.
and stay safe.